Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of The Power of Sharing. Today I have with me Laura Masters, and I am Candice, the PR specialist of the American Canadian Board for Professional Training. Today we'll talk to Laura about her career and how she has enhanced and boosted people's lives through her human performance development and her career. Laura, please
Great.
introduce yourself further to the audience.
Hi, my name is Laura Masters, and I have an education therapy practice in Napa, California, which is in the Bay Area of San Francisco. And I also have a partnership with my business partner, Amy Mercer. We have a company called Abundance Enterprise where we do transformational life coaching. And I am a master coach with the ICF, and I'm working with a year-long program now to gain my PCC by the end of the year. And I've worked closely with a wonderful organization under the title of M-Braining, which is multiple brains, where we take the scientific findings that we have a brain in our head and in our heart and in our gut, and we pull them all together, learn how to communicate with all of them and access all of our internal wisdoms. And I am a master coach with them and also a coach trainer with my partner, Amy. And we train coaches to help people go really inside to their internal wisdoms and learn how to live all in with all of their intuitions to create wonderful lives.
Yeah. It's amazing. So tell us, how did you start this career? What was the trigger for you?
So how I started this is I love my education therapy practice. I love working with children. I've done it for a long time. And I have like dozens of children that I call my own because I worked with them for so long. And when both of my children got old enough to kind of move on and they're living their separate lives in different cities now, and it's like I almost didn't have a child. Like I didn't have something to nurture and to grow. And so I thought if I could do something different in my life, I decided that it would be coaching because all of my life I've been coached. I've had life coaches since I was in my early 20s, and I had a person who coached me for more than 25 years. And I know that everything that I've created and everything that I have and the abundance that I have in every aspect of my life is really due in a large part to the coaches that I've had over my life. And so I thought, okay, maybe I could, switch up my career and become a life coach. And so I started to look for training for that. And within my education therapy practice that I have, the thing that transformed it so profoundly and so deeply was neuroscience and the advent of neuroscience and all that we learned in the 90s and in the early 2000s. And then as we continued to grow. And the difference that really understanding on a scientific level what I was doing in my teaching, I knew that if I was going to go into coaching, that I wouldn't want to do it without that same understanding of coaching. So I was always Googling coaching and neuroscience, and this M-braining kept coming up. And after I got hit with it 3 or 4 times, I decided to move into it. And I researched the website and just fell in love with the concept of how it has a suite of coaching techniques that combines the ancient wisdom with neuroscience and how they beautifully support one another. And that if I was going to coach to profound change and on the deep level that I wanted to, that this would be a wonderful training ground for me. And so I called my friend Amy, who at the time we didn't have a company together yet, but I called her and I said, I think I found what we're going to do next. And so I called a trainer, and her name was Reb Veal. She's a fantastic trainer for M-braining and a mentor for me. And I had a conversation with her, and I found out that there was going to be a training in Vancouver. We're in North America. At the time she lived in England, now she's in France. And she just happened to be coming over in a couple of months to do a training on the continent. And I said, we just have to go. And I called her and I said, we're on our way. And she said, sure. And that's how we started. And I honestly, that was the fall of 2018. And I feel like every aspect of my life has been amplified, and I've grown more personally with having immersed myself in embraining and in the neuroscience of really getting in touch with all of our inner wisdoms and our neurology, learning how to really access my gut wisdom and my heart wisdom and bring it all together so that I always feel like I'm living my life completely all in with all of me. And so that's how I found embraining, and that's where we started. And then a year later, we went to Europe. We spent a month in Europe, took some more training, and became coach trainers. And we've been training coaches since then, and I just love every aspect of it. So I love what it brings for my life, for the people around me, because of how I've grown from it. And I love teaching coaches to really learn how to go in and just be really living the life that's really authentically them from a completely practical embodied wisdom level. So that's how I got started on embraining and coaching in this way. So,
Such an inspirational journey.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
So you'd say the concept of your specialization is mixing the ancient wisdom with neuroscience. Is that correct?
Yeah, that feels really true. Yeah. And so it's interesting because with the advent of, being able to do, CAT scans and to, really watch what happens in the brain when you're thinking and learning and feeling, and that it really has, oddly enough, it's like we brought the science forward to really just kind of prove that all the ancient wisdoms were right, and they really knew everything we needed to know 2,000 years ago. And now we have the language for it, and now we can, help people see it for the really, hands-on, just really substantial tool that it can be, and really understanding that we can build neural pathways to our gut wisdom and to our heart wisdom and have it communicate with our head wisdom, and just really, check in with all of them. And, we all kind of do that on a certain level. Like we've all, gone ahead and done something like, oh man, I knew in my gut that wasn't going to work, but we did it anyway, or you made a very big goal that you were going to do. And even when you wrote the goal down, you knew your heart wasn't in it. And so I feel like we've been trying to live with all of our intelligences, but we've never had a way to really truly do that. And that's what I absolutely love about the embraining and the MBIT suite of techniques, is that it really helps us go in and be able to communicate with all of it and be able to access all of them and get them all aligned so that everything we do in our lives and all the decisions that we make and the goals that we set are, I don't know how else to describe it except this. It's like this all-in feeling, like, when you know that it was just so right, you were just going to do it, and it almost was going to inevitably happen because you were so connected about how to reach that goal or do that thing, or that thing just felt so right on every level that you just knew you were going to do it. And to live your life with that kind of groundedness and sureness just creates what in the embraining we call the expression of our real authentic self in the world. It isn't something that we've created out of our head. It isn't something that, we've busted into without really thinking about the consequences, or it isn't something we've created that doesn't bring meaning to our life every day. And so it just helps us just be totally present on every level in every aspect of our life.
So you said that before choosing this path and this career, you were in special education. Is that right?
Yeah. So my career of more than 30 years has been in teaching, and I've worked with kids who have I would say that almost the more complicated that they are, the more they are my kind of a student. So I have students who come who have a mixture of, maybe attention deficit or sensory issues, dyslexia, language processing, maybe dysgraphia, maybe dyscalculia, whatever it is. And so what I do is I do an assessment, or I get the assessments from education psychologists who have done a thorough evaluation. And then I take a look at what they can and can't do on a daily basis, and I design individual education programs for them. And then I just bring up the areas that need to be strengthened. And what I found over the years is that I could bring all of those up. And then there was this piece where they didn't really know how to study. So then I learned how to study, help them learn how to study. And that's where neuroscience helped me so much. And then I realized so much of it was, how they were thinking about themselves or feeling about themselves, which is where I started to bring in a lot of science and positive psychology, and then bringing them up and over that. And then I could do all of that. They were feeling like they could do everything, and they had the skills and everything. And then, I learned that, stress and anxiety can be a terrible toll. So I learned all about that and the neuroscience behind that, and I brought that in. And so I just feel like I've just been collecting all of these tools over all of these years. And, we're complicated beings, but a lot of it comes down to just really believing in ourselves and having a way to be really clear and deep and intentional about your living, and collecting your values, living by your values, and then just, forging forward, and knowing that we're tenacious and we have all kinds of ability to be resilient, and then believing in ourselves and having a pathway that feels good on every level. I mean, there's just no stopping human beings. I mean, we've been wired for successful, beautiful lives, and we've gone over the entire planet and made it in every different climate in the world. And we're just built to create beautiful lives for ourselves, and to find a technique and an ability and a suite of tools that helps people really find that for themselves and be able to go out and be just the most beautiful version of themselves is just where I want to spend the rest of my life. So it's been a wonderful find for me. So.
Beautiful. So, in this field, from your point of view, is there a way to implement creativity?
Yeah, I think as far as I can see with this and what I've experienced in the 3 or 4 years that I've been in it, there's room for creativity on the side of the coach and how you want to go in. There's creativity within the process of inbraining. We do have a roadmap that is suggested, but it doesn't always work on the one-to-one sessions. We're following the lead of the client. And then each client has brings their medley of experiences and desires and ways of working. And so I feel like there's creativity in the coach, there's creativity in the process, and creativity in how we're going to work with the clients that we have. And there's no 2 sessions that are the same. There's nothing that goes the same way. Sometimes we have to go straight to the gut and forget what the gut wants, but then the head is in the way, so we work there. And then when we bring in the heart, or you might get all these 2 aligned, but the gut is just like, no, doesn't feel safe to me. And so then we have to go down and work with the heart. And so it's a pathway. It's a pathway that meanders, and it's different with every single client until we come up with a solution where we feel like we've got this solid feeling and direction. And then you can move forward with that and create a beautiful plan from it. But yeah, I mean, there's just endless ways for it to be creative. And I will say it again, I've never had 2 sessions that were ever the same. So that makes it very fun for me. So, yeah.
So since the new year's here, 2022, what are the goals that you want to achieve in this year?
Yeah. So the inbraining community and our leader his name's Grant Suslow, who wrote a book with Marvin Oka, and it's called M-Braining, using your multiple brains to do really cool stuff. They had a philosophy that the trainings needed to be in person so that we can help people really stay in their hearts and in all of their wisdoms, to have this training, to receive this training, and to be able to experience it. And so the training for training coaches must be in person. So we got going, we did 2 trainings, and then the pandemic hit, and we have had to continually postpone trainings. We just recently postponed our March training, and it's going to be in November again. We haven't got the exact dates yet. And so definitely I want to continue training coaches in this philosophy. I feel like with the pandemic, and then just taking today, for example, which is February 24th of 2022, and the world events that started early today in Europe, when there is, chaos in the world from the pandemic and from, the moves of Russia in the last little bit, there's so much uncertainty. And it's easy to get lost in your head and get lost in your fears. And I don't know that there has ever been a time where it's been more important to be able to go in and trust yourself and trust your wisdoms and trust your instincts and your intuitions. And so I would love to be doing more trainings. I would love to be doing some more writing. My partner and I are working on some podcasts. We're putting together a one-day experience. Hopefully we can do more stuff online where we're talking about it. It might not be the coach training, but that we can help people really find their way within their own intelligences. And of course, like everybody, I want to write a book one day. Love to write a book, have some webinars, and just continue to help people, just really have a beautiful, resourceful, wonderful expression of human existence on this life while we're here in the short time that we get to be on this earth, and that it can be, just something that is powerful, that's impacting and inspiring, and that people wake up every day just loving their lives. So those are some of the things I want to do. I love working with families, and I'm bringing the M-Braining more and more into my practice of my education therapy practice, where just really helping kids, even if you have a different way of learning, a different way of being in this world that doesn't exactly match the school systems, that they can still create beautiful lives for themselves and count on themselves and not feel so wrong in this world, that not everybody was, meant to come through this education system the way the teachers were and the people who love it. And so, helping them really see that they can create a beautiful life, even if it isn't exactly what has been prescribed. So using it in my education therapy practice is also important to me, is I guess what I want to say there. So, yeah.
That's really beautiful. I love how ambitious and you have dreams in your future. I love that. I love how powerful you have, how much power you give to your dreams, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thank you.
So what is the most important advice that you would give to other trainers?
I feel like if I could say one thing to trainers, it would be that, you can only coach and you can only inspire change as deep in your clients as it is with yourself. And so if your goal is to be a transformational coach, if you really want to inspire change that creates a different person, that creates personal growth, that creates, the ontological change that really deeply is able to go out then and create a different life, you have to be able to go deep. You have to be able to coach from your heart. You have to be able to coach from your gut. You've got to be able to coach from all of your inner wisdoms. And as deep as you can go in all of your inner wisdoms, you can meet somebody at another level in their embodied wisdom. And so if you want to really create fantastic change that has lasting effects for a resourceful life that is impacting not only for your client, but the people in the life of your client, you have to be able to go deep. And I've never found anything like embraining that really shows the way and brings science, and that the pathway that like literally where neuroscience meets the ancient wisdoms, and then we can meet on a beautiful, deep level with our clients as deep as they can go, and then we can inspire change that I feel like will change the world one person at a time. Go deep. Yeah.
All right. Well, Laura, that's all the questions we have for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and it was a pleasure to have you today. Do you have